We had the Who's on today at Canterbury. Good old Canterbury. Now, I'll get to that meeting in a minute. Only two meetings to talk about, and they are Randwick on Boxing Day, uh, and today at Canterbury. Now, at Randwick on Boxing Day, we had a situation where the track kept on improving. It was put up a slow 6. The penetrometer 5.69 said that was around about that mark, but as we by the time we got to race 3, it was upgraded to a good 4. But the 18 pence, the old fence, was a little bit sus. We did have one leader that won, but by the same token, it was hard to come from behind. There were plenty of runners that were just up on the pace and getting off the and staying in the middle of the track that won. The one leader, we'll just go through this quickly. The first race, well, it was won. Chris Waller, he had the first and second picks here. The second pick won it. It was very well backed. We put it up 5-2 chance. Danger, ridden by Blake Shin, bold Blake Shin, got out to $4.20, back into $4. Very hard to get towards the end of betting. And the favourite was Berdini, ridden by the pumper. He was eased at the start from his outside, from a wide alley. He had the outside alley in a field of 8, field of 9 actually, and was eased back to sit in second last position. It took off coming down the side, but was never ever going to win. The winner was coasting when they turned for home, eased off heels, and won by 1.8 lengths. Lightly raced, and obviously got a little bit of potential. Second race was won by Chris Waller again, with Horseman Bowman up, where Bowman rode half the program, 4 out of the 8 winners. Liberty Island, we let you lay 10-9 on. We put it up 5-4 on. Have your 5-4. Got out to $1.90. Back into $1.80 at the end of the betting. The runner that led in this race was Imperial Guard, a first starter. He stayed close to the fence. Even though it was a 50-1 chance, it did get stayed close to the fence and was beaten 17.1 lengths. Dropped right out at the finish, as I say, staying close to the fence. Bowman, when they turned for home, he could have got actually inside it. Contradicting myself, the leader didn't stay on the fence turning for home. There was room, but did slide back after that when he was gone. But Bowman said, no, I'm not going up there. He went in between it and the runner on the outside, who was Russet, who hung a bit, and once he got in between those runners, the result was never in doubt. And the second pick, the second pick, also trained by Chris Waller, ridden by the pumper, electrifying, very one-paced. He beat it by a length and a half. It was never ever going to catch it. Race 3, we saw Wedding, ridden by Bowman again, sit in a half karting position, about 4th position, in a close finish, just get the verdict. Race 11, race 7, race 4, race 11, race 4, race 7. Race 4, we saw resuming Mary Lou win this race, ridden by Adam Hieronymus, trained by Anthony Cummings. It led in the race Passion Flower, and it tried to bite the pumper. The pumper said, Dave, come on, you're going to eat my elbow off here. What rhymes with elbow, by the way? Tell me what rhymes with elbow? then he said, no, get out of there. And he gave it apparently a bit of a little nudge. And poor Pumper, he's been, I don't know whether he's going to appeal against it. He's going to get a month holiday. Go to Acapulco, most probably, for the month with the family. And it led Passion Flower. They said they were going to ride it closer, and they did. And the winner, Mary Lou, it was sucking up behind the pace. There were 3 in line, 2 outside Passion Flower. They were Tears in Heaven, ridden by the Pumper, and also Sensualism. And Mary Lou sucking up behind that 3. And when they got to the 800 metre mark, there was about another 3 or 4 lengths back to the rest of the field. Passion Flower swung very wide, good 6 horses off the fence turning for home. There was a mile of room for Mary Lou to get up on the inside of it, which it did. Went away and won by 1.8 lengths. And Passion Flower, I think, showing how, and it was an advantage to be up near the lead because Passion Flower is not that strong, and it ran second. And gee whiz, there were 10,000 plus there on Boxing Day. It's a bit of a tradition in England and Ireland on Boxing Day to go to the hooves, to the galloping hooves. The Aussies, well, they're all feeding them elephant's trunk. They're all elephants. They don't know the races are on. And thank God for the Irish and the English, because if the Irish and English didn't turn up on Boxing Day at Randwick, there would have been about 1,000 people there. That's all. And not, maybe a monkey's worth of Aussies and a monkey's worth of whoever else there was there, but all the others were the Pommies and the Paddies. And you think Mary Lou, there are 100 of them back Mary Lou with me. Can I have 10 each for Mary Lou? So why are you backing that, son? Yeah, I got an auntie named Mary Lou. I said, I'll have you next bloke. 20 each way, Mary Lou. And I said, why are you backing that? He says, my mother's name's Mary Lou. So when I got a niece named Mary Lou. The girls were coming up. My mother's called Mary Lou. My grandmother was Mary Lou. Went on and on. So next bloke, I said, why are you backing Mary Lou, mate? I said they'd run out of nieces and uncles and grandmas and whoever, not uncles. He said, oh, we had a cow. Its name was Mary Lou. I said, oh, you cracking jokes. I said, oh, well, yes, you're quite right. Next bloke, that was the cow. Next bloke, he said, I said, what, girl? I said, why are you backing that Mary Lou up? She said, oh, our cat's called Mary Lou. I said, I threw my hands up in the air to finish. I couldn't. They're the best, aren't they? So anyway, Mary Lou got up on the inside and got the Mary Lou's. Race 5, well, they hit the line here in this field of 9. There was only 3.8 lengths between them when they hit the line. And Horseman Bowman, he weaved in between runners and he got there by 0.5 of a length. He won by half a length at the finish. I didn't think it was that much, but the first 4 or 5 place getters, there was under a length when they hit the line. Another few strides, it might have got through and won. Maya Mira, who had to come from last position, ridden by the 3 kilo boy James P. Innes, run that race again, run it a few times, or run it more than a few times. Run it 6 times and you might get 6 different results in that race. So that's what I thought of that race. The Summer Cup came along and I'm imposing, the 9-year-old. Well, he was just too good, and as simple as that. Second horse had its chance. Third horse had its chance. The winner was too good. And bookies took plenty of risks with I'm imposing. The next race was won by Quell this was the only leader to win, ridden by W. Constant. Winona, she went straight to the lead on this little whippet, not like last start when they said we're going to ride it with cover, which cost, I think, the runner that went around today. Oh, what's the bloody name of that horse? Not Measure. It's called Miniature, I should say, which I think cost Miniature the race when it ran second to Ball of Muscle that day at Randwick the previous start. And when they went back on Quell, Bold Blake Shin went back on Miniature and had to come through runners, as we all saw, and failed to run down Ball of Muscle. Well, anyway, Quell went to the front, but Winona, she was a Jerry. She didn't go right close to the fence. She stayed at 4 off the fence, turning for home, up the rise, 5 off the fence, got clear. It's a little whippet. It was an advantage to be up on the pace, and it held on and beat Felines, trained by Chris Lees, ridden by brilliant Brendan Abdullah by a half a length, and coming from more or less last position down the outside, which was hard to do, was the resuming Quimbran, and it was very well backed. Now, believe it or not, there was $10 given about this runner in the outside ring. I saw $8.50 on the fence. Now, that's the advantage of being at the track. You didn't even get that. You wouldn't have got that anywhere in the world, bar being at the track, if you like that runner. It only started $6, and I think the best plucked might have been only about $7.50. A little bit of difference, 13 versus 10, 3%. Is it what? 3.5 actually. So there we go. It led all the way, which was a bit of an advantage, a little whippet Quell. And then we got to the last race, and we saw Bowman lifted over the line Monterio, half carted in about 5th position, and the second horse came off his back, and that was Refrain. Well, it didn't actually come off his back. It was well back in between runners and made up plenty of ground. Wasn't a bad run. It came from last position, Chestnut Road, after easing from barrier 12, the outside alley, going back to last and making up plenty of ground. It was resuming from a spell. It looks like it's come back well, and it also had to come through in between runners, races with its head a little bit high, last try wins, but also was a very good run, trained by nifty Neville Voigt. It made up plenty of ground. Run that race again and you would get a few different results, especially if the track were fairer. Now we got to today at Canterbury Park. Now, like I used to say there not so long ago, it was a greyhound track. Well, it wasn't the case. Today you could lead on the fence and win, but it wasn't dynamite like we've seen plenty of times before. You could lead on the fence and win, which they did, and also come from behind. What else can I say? The first winner started favourite. It started the Avery about after $4.60 was given in the outside ring. You wouldn't see that. Started $3.80. Talking about the runner called Paragon, who went around in the Magic Millions lead-up race at Wyong, and was a very good run because missed the kick there, and ridden by Kerra McAvoy. He let it roll to the line, and it was a better run than it looked at Wyong, hence its price today, starting favourite. Number 1 in the first got trapped 3 wide all the way, Dane Slugger. I think you can forgive it for its run. The winner only just got there, well, have a look at it for yourself. The next race, we saw the favourite win here, the well-backed favourite, Music Magnet, who won its last start at Warwick Farm, just grabbed the leader, ins and outs, right on the line, who hadn't trialled, and it led on the fence, and the winner was ridden by Horseman Bowman. He got a beautiful run in the race. He knew what was happening, ins and outs, was going to lead. He said, "I'll look at you all the way." Music, I'm is a lady. Well, it was replated at the start, and also reading the stewards report tonight, it also had missed a gallop, apparently an important gallop, but the trainer said it was all right to go around. And when the gates opened, it after being replated, it played up a little bit in the barrier, bounded in the air. Bold Blake Chin was aboard. I think he did exactly the right thing. They weren't going fast up in front, and he, after missing the kick, he just gave it his head, and it got around outside the leader, ins and outs, and stuck on very well. Only beaten 0.24 of a length. It might be the best horse in that race, even though it ran third. It might go for a spell now, or it mightn't either. But if it does go for a spell, be wary of it when it comes back, because it has a bit of potential. And no doubt that first and second are handy gallopers as well. Race 3, well, we saw Cool Ring win this race, ridden by Bowman. Come straight across the field. He had the outside alley in a field of 7 runners, had the outside alley, the perfect alley. He summed up the situation, velodromed, hit the first turn, found the 18 pence. The favourite, Snippett's Land, who's going to the Gold Coast, of course, from Barrier 1, sucked up all the way, put in a bit of a sprint after turning for home, but Bowman had a little bit of a picnic up front on the winner, Cool Ring, and was able to establish a break and hold it down to the line to win by 1.5 lengths. It looked at the leader all the way, Darcy Wood, who was very easy in the betting. Would the owners of Darcy Wood please step forward? It was $4 out to $6, 3s to 5s, very hard to lay. And the figures in this race weren't that good for the Captain Cookies. What did we bet here? Well, I'll tell you. Well, Mr. Jackman, it was very hard to lay as well. That's 15.5, that's 16, 20, 22, 24, 24, 54, 57, call it 58, 68, 74. Well, we only gave about 95% in this race. Oh my God, it was very hard to win. If it's very hard to win, when you only give 95. Race 4 here, we saw the Avery get home, Peace Force. Bookies took risks with this. We put it up a 6 to 4 chance, was quickly reached 4, got out to 2s. It was a masterly ride by Horseman Bowman on the second horse, Mademoiselle, who he obviously would have known, or that after doing the fall, that it was a slight doubt at getting the 1550, and he drew barrier 1. Drew barrier 5, but no, whatever the story was, he came in one, so he drew barrier 4, went straight to hit the lead on the first turn, held the lead, and made Peace Force go around him, and then he looked at him all of the way, and showed very strong vigour all the way up the straight to join Peace Force, who, after getting to the lead, had a fairly travel very well for a brilliant Abdullah, and it gave a strong kick in the straight, and held on by 0.1 of a length. The course announcer was the only one who thought that the outside horse had won. Everybody on the course thought that Peace Force had just lasted. It did only. I suppose, well, he's up there in the judge. He's right above the winning post, so he's got the best view. But it's easy to be wrong, isn't it? I'm not. Everyone makes mistakes, but there was only an inch in it, and it stuck its bib out at the right time. The favourite Peace Force for Avery backers. And Mademoiselle, as I say, was really well, not pun. Well, you can't. You're allowed to say, yeah, was really punished by Bowman. What's the difference? What they cracking jokes? Was punished by Bowman to the line, to whereas Peace Force the last few strides was ridden by hand, and I think the right thing to have done too, on the winner, Peace Force, because maybe if he would have hit the mare, she might have faltered. And brilliant Brendan Abdullah just rode her hands and heels the last bit to, as I said, just win by that nose margin. The second pick here, Proper Madam, never really was agitated apparently in the yard before it went out, and it never really looked like winning. It travelled a little bit ungenerously in the run. Race 5, well, when they hit the line here, in the three-year-old and upwards open handicap, there was only 2.5 lengths between the field, and we saw Amavotio come from third last, making a sweeping run after they'd gone out when they were coming down the side, and coming very fast up to the turn. Inside it, when they turned for home, was Rose of Choice, who was extremely well backed, from $7.50 into $4.40. And when Amavotio was going a lot better than Rose of Choice, he'd moved up, and when he did move up on the outside of it, the winner, Amavotio, did duck in. And there's a good chance when you watch the replay, make your mind up for yourself, because always remember, never rely on, if you're a grumble and grunter or a Captain Cookie, or the best information you can get is your own information. Use your own judgment, because in the long run, it's no good if you listen to others, because there are for the simple reason, there are too many to listen to. And if you've got an idea yourself, stick to those ideas, and I think you've got a better chance. Well, you make up your own idea, idea where the Scream Machine would have won this race, because when the winner ducked in, it came in an unbalanced Rose of Choice, which then in turn went on to Scream Machine, who just lost its momentum when the gap was appearing and was going to run through after easing off heels, turning for home after he did draw barrier 1, and was just about to wind up and go through that gap. The margin was only 0.8 of a length. I think if the winner wouldn't have ducked in and bumped Rose of Choice, as I say, got onto Scream Machine would have got through that gap, and I think most probably would have won that race. Like Oriental Lady in this race was backed by one of the pros at 50-1, for whatever you liked. 21. Well, we put up a $21 chance, got out to 51, back into 41, back out to 51 at the end of betting, and it ran last, but it was only 2.5 lengths away, as I say. And run this race over again, and you would get also a few different results. Race 6, we saw the pumper at his best. Ball of Muscle went straight to the lead, the Avery. He missed the kick, the second pick, Dothraki, but had his chance after that, getting good suck up and easing off heels, having an interrupted run. And the winner, Barbed, who got on who drew barrier 3, and after Dothraki missed the kick, was able to get straight in behind the leader, Ball of Muscle. That's a good idea, who sat outside the favourite Ball of Muscle, dropped off very quickly after they turned for home. The pumper, stayed there for a while after they'd straightened, but then dropped off, and was only beaten 3.3 lengths, but a bit disappointing. It was, it was given its chance. When the pumper was trying to get through on Barbed, who was also very well backed for an absolute poultice, they asked me at $12 whatever I wanted, and Barbed at $12. And I bet on the maximum, don't you worry about that. and ridden by the pumper. It was held up for a couple of strides, but then he was able to get clear, and with that weight transferal that the pumper has got, was able to grab the leader and favourite ball of muscle on the line, and after easing off heels, Dothraki, the second pick, the margins were 0.2 by 0.5, and only 1.1 lengths away was Heart Tester. $26 out to $40, back into 30, back out to 40, who knuckled at the start and was wide on the turn and made up plenty of ground to be only beaten 1.1. Run this race again, and you get a few different results. Race 7, this was won by the favourite, Reglify. When they turned for home after having a fairly cosy run in front, the second horse got within a length of him with at about the 200 metre mark, 150 metre mark, but then right towards the finish after terrific Tommy Berry had put the shillelagh around its rump a couple of times, Reglify drew away at the finish to win by 1.5 lengths and was doing better than the others on the line. We let you lay only the 9 to 4 on $1.45, was laid on, started $1.40, and well, would it be $1.40 if you run the race again? Most probably would be, even though it only won by 1.5 lengths. The last race came along, and the pumper put in a beautiful ride here on Magical Stance. Fraser's, ridden by the greyhound rider Serge Lindsay. Only knows, well, not that Fraser wouldn't have let it goes forward anyway, but with Serge on board, only knows one thing, Serge, go forward, my son. He led, the pumper did a little bit of work to get up outside him going down the back straight, and there was, and as they went out of the back straight, the pumper was still sitting there looking at Fraser's, and they weren't going fast at all. The winner came back underneath Serge very well, and there was a runner trapped 3 wide in the race, and that was Ultimate Gaze. It went around and got in front of Fraser's coming halfway around the bend, and the pumper was then looking at that pair with with Made to Order tucked away third on the fence. It had every possible chance. When they turned for home, Ultimate Gaze started to weaken. The pumper moved up 3 wide, and he didn't really go for the winner until he'd flattened out because he was travelling fairly well. He got a break and was able to hold off Diamonds in the Night, number 8, who had barrier 1, got inside runners turning for home, but failed to catch the Magical Stance by about 3/4 of the length. We all saw Magical Stance last week at Warwick Farm, at Rose Hill, in the race won by Fraser's. Never, ever, ever get a run, and today made up for that unlucky performance. Well, that was about the meeting there. The track played fair. This week coming, we've got, of course, it's they are a bit greedy, these boys. We've got Gosford on Monday. A couple of races tomorrow everywhere. Gosford on Monday, racing Tuesday somewhere, I don't know. Then we have New Year's Eve. We have Gosford again, traditional New Year's Eve meeting. Randwick on New Year's Day, and then fancy having a meeting at Wyong on Friday. Are they cracking jokes? Wouldn't you like to fair them? Wouldn't you like to get hold of them and say, come on, boys, we're the ones keeping this game going, not you blokes, you think you are. Come and do a little bit of trying to do what we're trying to do. They wouldn't last 4 minutes. And then you've got to back up at Rose Hill on Saturday, and of course in the Sunday. It becomes a little bit too much. But anyway, they know what they're doing. The house of cards, I hope it doesn't collapse, or the cancer of racing. Well, will it ever collapse, the cancer of racing? I don't suppose. I don't think they've got too many steamers betting with them. They don't know. They don't know the difference between, as I've said before, 6 to 4 and 9 to 4. Good evening.